Benjamin Netanyahu made an announcement recently that Israel is going to seize a large portion of land in Gaza. Now, this announcement wasn't done to just a small group of people, but this is going to cause major problems, and I'm going to show you how that would look on the map. But the reality is here, Israel is trying to claim that the reason why they're doing this is because Hamas does not release the rest of the hostages. Keep in mind, there was already an hostage agreement between Hamas and Israel. Israel broke that agreement when they decided to break the ceasefire. I also want to remind you that there hasn't been food into Gaza for almost a month. So Palestinians there are facing starvation. The U.S. government, the Senate, by the way, just agreed to send them more weapons to Israel. And now Israel has announced that they are going to take more of the land. Again, the claim is that they're trying to get the rest of the hostages. But if they really cared about the hostages, they wouldn't starve people in Gaza. Keep in mind, folks, I want us to use our brain. Keep in mind that when Israel withholds aid and food from people in Gaza, they're also withholding that food and that aid from the hostages as well. So if Gazans are starving, guess what? Those hostages are also starving. Doesn't sound like they really care about them, right? But this is what they're moving towards. It is insane. Let's get into this clip here from the BBC.
A strike on a UN clinic at the Jabalia refugee camp has reportedly killed at least 16 people. Local hospitals say a further 15 Palestinians were killed in other strikes overnight. This all comes as Israel's defense minister announces another expansion of the military operation in Gaza. Israel Katz saying large areas of the territory would be seized and added to Israel's existing security zones. And
imagine living in this, guys. Imagine if you walked outside your house and this is what you saw. Imagine like this is your backyard, right? Like who says live like this? Live in that rubble. This is absolutely insane what has happened to Gaza.
And let's just show you as well now Israeli National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir. Very inflammatory, this visit this morning. He is visiting the Al-Aqsa compound, and that happened a few hours ago. We're starting to get response as well from Hamas, just talking about how inflammatory this is. He walked out of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's right-wing coalition back in January over the Gaza ceasefire deal. Lots of strands to bring together, lots of developing stories to bring you from the conflict. So let's take you straight to Jerusalem and join our Middle East correspondent Yolande Nell, who is there. Firstly, Yolande, what are we hearing from Jabalia and the strike on a UN clinic?
Now, notice where she's at, right? She is in Jerusalem. She's not in Gaza. Another thing that they have done is they have made it so that now no journalists can come into Gaza. That's another thing that they're doing. So Israel has been pretty persistent at trying to stop the source of information from being spread so that you don't really see what's happening. It's already too late for that because the world has seen just how awful and horrible Israel has been. So there's no coming back from that. They never come back from this reputation. And the more that they go into Gaza, the worse things are going to be for them, for their reputation. I just can't see Israel as a state coming back from this at all.
Well, what we were told by the local hospital is that at least 19 people were killed in an Israeli strike on that building in Jabalia in the north of the Gaza Strip that was being used as a shelter for displaced people. Now, there's now been a statement that's come out from the Israeli military. It says that it was targeting what it calls Hamas terrorists, says that they were using this site as a command and control center to coordinate attacks. A lot of details on all of this still very sketchy. There is some footage that has come out from the scene that we've not yet been able to verify. It shows smoke billowing from this UN building. There are some very harrowing images that show a small baby among those apparently killed.
And this comes.
We can't show that, obviously, right? But you get the gist of what's happening here. More people have been killed. More people are dying. But I just want to remind you again what Hamas said about that deal. So you have Hamas on one side, you have Netanyahu on another side. Listen to this. Just a reminder.
We've dealt with all proposals with responsibility and positivity with the purpose of reaching our goals of stopping the war. We received 2 days ago a proposal from our brothers, the mediators in Egypt and Qatar. We've dealt with it positively and accepted it. We hope that the occupation, Israel, does not disrupt it or thwart the efforts of the mediators. We've later on responded to the proposal of our Egyptian brothers to form a community support committee to manage the Gaza Strip. The committee will take full responsibility of the Strip in all aspects. And it will be made up of independent national figures, who will take up their work in the committee starting from the moment the agreement is reached in order for us to block any propaganda carried out by the enemy. We've reached advanced stages in these talks and we, along with a number of brothers from the Palestinian groups and factions, have handed over to our brothers in Egypt a group of names to make up the core that holds this community support committee, with independent figures, professionals and experts, in order to complete the formation of the committee. And we hope that our brothers in Egypt can speed up establishing the committee after they received an Arabic and Islamic mandate and support to do so. And we honestly say to those betting that Hamas and the resistance factions can give up on their responsibilities and hand over our people to an unknown fate controlled by the occupation as it pleases. We say to them, you are delusional. It is impossible for us to accept humiliation and disgrace for our people. There will be no displacement and no removal of Palestinians. As for the resistance weapon, it is a red line and it is linked to the existence of the occupation and the establishment of the independent Palestinian state. So as long as there is an occupation, there remains a weapon for the people and state to protect its resources and rights.
That is the part that is very important. Do you hear what he said? As long as there's an occupation, the people are going to protect their area and their rights. So this is very simple to figure out, folks. What they're asking Israel to do is to end the occupation, and they're asking for a Palestinian state. That's what they're asking for. Now, Israel doesn't want to give them that. Netanyahu has definitely never wanted to give them that. Because if they have their own state, that means they also have to have their own military, and they don't want that. Also, Israel and its supremacy, they believe that all of the land is supposed to be theirs. So keep this in mind, folks, right? So this was just 3 days ago. So I wanted to remind you of this, that it is not Hamas that is being the problem here. It was Israel that broke the ceasefire. And then we have that statement from Benjamin Netanyahu, thanks to Dropsite News here. Benjamin Netanyahu says that Israel is establishing a new military corridor across Gaza, the second Philadelphia, declaring that it is now dividing the strip. So you guys got to remember that Gaza is very dense, one of the most dense places in the world. There were over 2 million Palestinians that were living there. Obviously, it's a lot less than that now. If I had to make a guess, I would probably say 1.5 million. I don't believe that it's just 50,000 people that have been killed. I believe over 500,000 people have been killed. And that's based on the math of how many bombs have been dropped, etc. So they are trying to push them into an even smaller area. This is insane. This is his announcement of that here. I'll read it along with you because he's speaking in Hebrew. Last night in the Gaza Strip, we switched gears.
הלילה ברצועת עזה העברנו הילוך. צה"ל תופס שטחים, מכה במחבלים, הורס את התשתיות.
The IDF is seizing territory. He goes on to say they're destroying the infrastructure.
ואנחנו עושים דבר נוסף. אנחנו תופסים את ציר מורג.
We're also doing something else. We are seizing the Morag corridor. Now, if you notice something, guys, notice this message. He is speaking in what do you call it? Hebrew. Yeah. He is speaking in Hebrew. And I was told, and let me know how you feel about this. I was told that when he is speaking in Hebrew, he's speaking directly to people in Israel. And when he's speaking in English, he's speaking to the West. So I don't know for sure if that's true or not, but that's what I was told. So listen to this. He says, we are seizing the Morag corridor.
זאת תהיה הפילדלפי השנייה, ציר פילדלפי הנוסף.
This will be the second Philadelphia, an additional Philadelphia corridor. I'll show you what that looks like in a second, because we are now dividing the strip. And increasing the pressure step by step.
צעד אחר צעד, כדי שיתנו לנו את חטופינו. וככל שלא ייתנו, כך הלחץ יגבר.
And he said that'll give us the hostages. As long as they don't give us the hostages, the pressure will increase until they do. Now, this is where you call out the lie, because we all know that they already had a ceasefire agreement, which Israel and Hamas both agreed to. There had already been an exchange of hostages, and there was supposed to be a second phase of that to receive the rest of the hostages. But that didn't happen because Israel broke the ceasefire. This has been the problem over and over again. So like I said, they would rather risk those hostages dying and take the rest of the land than continue on with the ceasefire agreement and get all of them back alive. And that is the truth. Anyone telling you anything different, that's a freaking lie. They would rather risk losing them to take the land than to pretend to continue the ceasefire and do the right thing and get all of them back alive. We are determined to achieve the objectives of the war. We are doing so relentlessly and with a clear line and a clear mission. And with, I think this is supposed to be God, and with God's help and that of our heroic soldiers, we will also achieve them. So this announcement was heard loud and clear. And if you could look at the comments on Twitter, you get a chance, look at the comments to this announcement. Like I said before, Israel is done. Like, they will never come back from this. And I'm noticing some people are just saying Benjamin Netanyahu. This is not just Benjamin Netanyahu. This is what Israel wants. And I think they're trying to be nice because they don't want to say the word Israel, right? Bernie Sanders is one of those people. He really doesn't want to say Israel. Now, he did introduce that legislation today on the Senate floor to try to get people to vote against sending the weapons to Israel. But of course, you know, like most people in the Senate are going to vote to support Israel because they're all bought by the Israeli lobby. But you have to call it out for what it is. It is Israel. Dropside News goes on to show the corridor would cut off the southern city of Rafah, which Israel has ordered evacuated from the rest of the Palestinian territory. And if you look at the picture here, you can see what that looks like. So Rafah is down here at the bottom, right across that, right next to that Egypt border. And then you'll also see that basically what they're trying to do, it says here, morgue access, they're trying to push them into an even more smaller area. It's almost like they're trying to, have you ever watched on TV, like maybe on Animal Planet or something, where people are trying to like push all the pigs or all the cattle. They're trying to herd all the cattle, like get all the cattle in. So they're trying to basically push them in like ants and have them on top of each other. And I have an idea about that. I think the reason why they're trying to push them all into an even more smaller area is so that if they drop another bomb, they kill even more of them. That's really what I believe. I don't think it's so, oh, we're going to push them in a smaller area so we can watch them. No, I believe they're trying to push them in a smaller area so that they're more compact together. And if they drop a heavy bomb, they can kill more of them. No one should approve of this. No one should accept this. And many do not. And you will see Columbia University, the protests are back again. Like there's a number of people who continue to say, why aren't people protesting under Trump? Okay, these people are trolls. Apparently people, I guess, that were upset that Kamala lost, because there's been protests since Trump took office for Gaza. And now you will see that Jewish students at Columbia University, the other day, they chained themselves to the fence, the gate here outside of Columbia, to protest for Gaza. Check this out.
Yeah, could you tell us a little bit about who you are and why you're here today?
Hi, I'm Shay. I'm a Jewish undergraduate at Columbia, and I am here because our classmate, our peer, Mahmoud Khalil, and other peers following him have been detained and targeted by ICE, and our trustees are directly implicated in this. They have been directly implicated by congressmen in this handing over the names to the federal government, and we are here in protest of that to demand that the university tell us which trustees, which members of the university administration are responsible for this, so that we can demand immediate consequences for them and hold them accountable for what they have done to our peer. And we are here specifically as Jewish students because the attacks on our international students, on students of color, have been so fierce, so dangerous, so disproportionate that we are the only students who can be here right now taking this risk standing up.
What does being locked to the gates of this university signify?
Yeah, so
Could you just identify yourself?
sure. Well? I'm Tali. I'm a Jewish student at Barnard. None of us are, until Mahmoud is free, like neither are we. So obviously us doing this we're doing this by choice. We are not trying to compare any type of action like this to the real danger and of being in an ICE detention center, but symbolically we want to do something to draw attention to the fact that one of our peers right now is currently being held and facing deportation, and the university was directly complicit in that, and the time to stand is now. This is as Jewish students, like, we grew up learning about the rise of fascism, learning about how important it is to stand up when you see injustice in the world. We always say, if looking back at moments in history, saying if only people had stood up, if only people had courage and stopped this before it, and showed that they would not just go along. So we're here to do that today.
Now, I wanted you to see this. Katie Halper was also there. I saw videos of her as well. And I believe Amy Goodman from Democracy Now! Was also present at this demonstration. I want you to pay attention to how corporate media is really not trying to cover this. Why? Because it's Jewish students who are protesting. They're like, no, we're standing up in solidarity for Mahmoud Khalil. We're standing up in solidarity for our comrade, our friend. And so this is why you have independent media, because we want you to see what's been going on there. So yeah, they did this the other day.
We've all heard the poem. First they came for the socialists, first they've come for Mahmoud, and we're not going to let that slide.
And the site you're doing it at, just so viewers understand, is at the gates of Columbia University, yes, with a direct view of the School of International Public Affairs, yes, SIPA, where Mahmoud Khalil was a student.
That is correct, yes.
Do you want to tell us your name and why you're here today?
My name is Aharon Dardik, and I'm here to protest the abduction detention of my classmate Mahmoud Khalil. we're not free until all of us are free. And we are here also to clarify that this is not something that makes us safer. This is not something that helps us. And especially as Jewish students, it's important for us to remember who here is actually fighting for the liberation of all people, which includes Jews and everyone else in the world, and who here is fighting for a fascist administration, for the deportation of students, for simply the acting in opposition to everything that we hold dear here at this university as students, and we wish the administration felt the same. And so we want the trustee who felt differently, who said, I am going to betray my student at my university and give him over to fascist authorities. We want to make sure that that's the sort of person who can be named, and hopefully the sort of person who will not be treated as a representative of the university in the future.
And this is what solidarity looks like, right? Putting someone else's needs before your own. So they're standing up there for Mahmoud Khalil. I do want to make sure I announce this as well. There is a protest this Saturday in Washington, D.C. Also, All Out for Gaza protest. So if you're able to attend that, if you follow Answer Coalition on Twitter, you should be able to see the flyer announcement for that. And the reason why I wanted to show that is to make a point. It takes a lot to put yourself out there before someone else. It takes a lot to say, I know that I'm not the same as this person. I know we may not have the same struggle and the same fight, but I'm going to put their needs before my own. Those students didn't have to do that, but they chose to do it. So yeah, protests are still happening at Columbia University. There's going to be a huge one in DC this Saturday. Please attend if you can. But I got to tell you guys, like, I do not see Israel coming back from this. The fact that they want to take, more of the land in Gaza, it's very clear what they're trying to do. I've told you since after October 7th that this was not about the hostages, regardless of what corporate media tried to tell you. And I think people are starting to see that more and more and more. And I think that Israel is making itself look worse. I just don't understand how people would change their mind about Israel at this point. I really don't. And then you look at everything that's been happening since after October 7th, how they've been they're cracking down on speech, how the cops had gone after the students, the protesters. Like, look at what our government is doing in the name for Israel. Look at how our government is putting Israel first. And by the way, it's been this way. It just wasn't as out in the open. But October 7th exposed that. So it's total chaos right now, total chaos. And I don't know, man, something has to change. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.